All right, everybody, welcome in to another edition of Diddy or Didn't He with me, Pugs Moran, here on RadioMisfits.com. It is day 15. Holy cow, it has been 15 days in the courtroom, and it feels like it just started. Honestly, at this point in the trial, I thought that I'd be looking for an exit strategy, but no, every day leads me to want to hear new. I'm very excited about who's coming tomorrow. And we'll tell you all about that once we get through all the things that were covered today in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs happening in a Manhattan federal courthouse. He's being charged with numerous crimes. 6, I believe, in total are the charges. I'd have to go back and find it. But as I've been saying from the very beginning, this seems to be, and please understand, I do a talk show every day. I stream it every day since 2021. It starts around 2:00 in the afternoon, and it's current events and hot topics and all that stuff. But I do that show non-politically. I'm not a political talker. I have opinions on things, and if you want to try and figure out what I am, fine. Best of luck to you, because it's been 50-something years on this planet, and I haven't figured out what I am. I do know one thing. I'm not a fucking joiner. I don't join your little clubs. I'm not wearing your little hats. I'm not going on your little marches to destroy Teslas or whatever it is you people are doing. I do talk radio for normal people. So I'm kind of approaching this Diddy trial in that same way. I'm not looking at this politically. I'm not looking at this like, the feds are once again, they're ramrodding charges that won't stick down an innocent. I don't have that point of view. And quite frankly, I have I don't think I've ever spoken about this, but I'm not a big Diddy fan. I don't know. Look, I know Diddy as the cultural icon that he has been for the past 25 years. I can't name a Diddy album. Mo Money, Mo Problems, right? That's a Diddy song. I know that. I know he ripped off The Police and had like a huge hit. Somehow he produced, right? Didn't he rip off Missing You? Or what was that song? I don't know, whatever. So my point is this. I'm not just a Diddy advocate. I'm just a middle-aged white man sitting here watching this trial play out with absolutely no partisan point of view. So when I tell you that I think the feds are way out of line here, I mean, it's just been 15 days of the feds not making their case. I've been saying this pretty consistently all 15 days that the feds overcharged this case. The feds saw career-making convictions in the offing, and they couldn't resist. What they missed an opportunity to do is to put a piece of shit behind bars for like maybe 5 to 10 years. They could have convicted this guy 10 times over if they had just gone with, state charges of domestic violence or whatever. But no, they shot for the stars. They got the feds involved. We're talking about crossing state lines and the DEA and the FBI and the ATF and all of these different groups involved. And everybody's making press conferences and statements, and they're all running for re-election. But they're going to fucking blow this. And any of us normal people out there should be really pissed off, because this guy belongs behind bars, okay? Maybe not for the rest of his life, but because they can't get him for the rest of his life, they're not going to get him for anything. I think this guy is going to walk. Now, I keep a tally each day, right? We've been 15 days or 14 days so far. I think it was 9-3-1 was the score that I had through the first 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 days. 10. I'm sorry. It was 10-3-1. The score is 10 victory days for the defense, 3 victory days for the prosecution, and 1 tie day. One day that was a tie, and that was on Friday when the defense was able to do some damage to Mia's 2 days on the stand for the prosecution, Mia being one of his accusers. She was claims to have been raped by Sean Diddy Combs 3 times during her run as his personal assistant. She did some real damage for the prosecution. The victory days that I awarded the prosecution in this trial were awarded on days based on Mia's testimony. And then on Friday, the defense got a chance to cross-examine, and, it ended up being a push. So, okay, 10 for the defense, 3 for the prosecution, and 1 day resulted in a tie. Today, I think we're going to do another tie. And that essentially should equate to a victory for the defense, because today was the day when the prosecution, they got to direct witnesses. There was no real cross going on today. So on direct examination days, you expect that the prosecution to be scoring points and making their case. And again, today they didn't do anything that really made me think anything different than I've felt all along, which is these people overcharged Sean Diddy Combs. He should be sent away to prison for 5 to 10 years for the way he treated people, for the abuse, for the violence that he inflicted on people. But, they're not going to get him on any of that because he's not being charged with any of that. So he's freely admitting to all of those transgressions. But let's get into what happened today. Day 15 here on the trial. Did I say what I thought today was? Today's another tie. Yeah, today is a tie, which, you could really think about as another win for the defense, but we'll call it a tie. So here we go. So the score is now, after day 15, the score is 10 wins for the defense, 3 wins for the prosecution, and 2 ties. There you go. That's what it is. 2 ties. Okay. Let me get a drink here before we get into some of the things. It was an interesting day today. It was an interesting day. I just don't think the prosecution did a very good job of convincing me that Diddy is some global crime lord. Okay, today we heard from security guard. We heard from Eddie Garcia. He is the security guard and bribe taker. He was the security guard at the Hotel Intercontinental on the night of the infamous video where Diddy just beats the snot out of poor Cassie there in the hallway. So we're going to hear from bribe taker Eddie Garcia. We're also going to hear from longtime bad boy CEO, who's appearing because he was subpoenaed. He's not, he's a hostile witness. I don't know if he's hostile or what, but Derek Ferguson worked for Bad Boy Records. He was CEO, worked there for 19 years, and he's being subpoenaed. So we heard from him today as well. Now, we also heard from Derek Ferguson, the former CEO of Bad Boy Records. We heard about the Epstein connection. That's right. Every rich guy in the world has a Jeffrey Epstein connection, and Diddy as well. I was going to say, you could add Diddy to that list, but when we're talking about Epstein, we, list. Gotta choose our words more carefully. Okay, so something did happen before trial. Every day something happens either outside or in the courtroom. There was a disruption today. A fan had to be removed from court just before the jurors were brought in. Here, the person stood up in the back of the courtroom as people were being seated and started screaming, "Diddy, these motherfuckers are laughing at you." She screamed. It's a woman. Diddy's got a lot of lady fans. "Diddy, these motherfuckers are laughing at you. They're laughing at you," she began ranting. She also railed against the system before court marshals told her, "Don't do it again." And then they dragged her out. Okay, the jury wasn't present for that, so, you have to worry about that. Let's see. What is he wearing? We like to keep track of what Diddy is wearing. Diddy's wearing a brown sweater over a white button-down shirt. He's been dressed very preppy and very conservative this entire time. Says here, Diddy's reaction to the woman was pretty much nonplussed. He really didn't react to her at all. Okay, so there you go. Also, outside the courtroom, something we haven't really been covering, but it is getting fun on social media. So the other day, we heard President Trump mention that he would consider, he doesn't know anything about it, he would consider, the pardoning of Diddy, should he determine in all of his wisdom that this was some sort of a federal witch hunt, something that he, claims to be no stranger to himself. So he had floated the idea of considering a pardon for Diddy. And 50 Cent is out there. Apparently, and I didn't know this before this trial, because again, I'm not like a 15-year-old hip-hop kid. Or actually, no, at this point, it would be like a 38-year-old hip-hop kid, because only a 38-year-old hip-hop kid would know about beef between Diddy and 50 Cent, right? All right, so we're not talking about the latest, craze on the dance floors here. We're talking about two guys who are, old dudes now. Anyway, 50 Cent and Diddy, they've been beefing, and 50 Cent went and made a compilation of times that Diddy has talked shit on President Trump, because 50 Cent doesn't want Diddy, of course, getting a pardon, because I don't know what this is all about, but it's funny. So let's give this a listen. This was something that 50. Hold on, let me make sure I got this here. Yeah, this is something that 50 Cent put out there on Twitter and Instagram, just to let Donald Trump, in case he was thinking about maybe pardoning Diddy. Here you go. This is what 50 Cent put out there. This is Diddy on Trump over the years.
White men like Trump need to be banished. Trump gets elected, I really do believe in my heart there'll be a race war. That's why this message is not just to black people. You know what I'm saying? This message is to everybody. This man is really trying to turn us against each other and put us in a situation. America messed up.
All right, there you go. That's it. All right, so 50 Cent is, making sure that Trump knows full well what Diddy has said about him in the past, because there you have it. We'll see how that plays out. All right, let's get into what happened actually today in the courtroom. The first witness that came to the stand was Eddie Garcia. Fast Eddie Garcia, security guard. He worked for he didn't work for the Intercontinental. He worked for a private security agency that the Intercontinental contracted out to work on the premises there. And he was on duty the night that Diddy decided to beat the snot out of Cassie in the hallway there at the Intercontinental. Eddie Garcia was discussed earlier in the trial. We heard about the security guard who supposedly took a bribe. We heard about this security guard who took the bribe from the security guard who didn't take the bribe. Remember last week we heard from Israel Flores, who was another security guard who was on duty at the time. He was also offered a bribe. He did not take it. And Eddie Garcia did. And that's why Eddie Garcia is testifying today with, what do they call, immunity? Sorry, I was like, anonymity? No, I just said his name. Immunity. He's not going to be in jeopardy of divulging anything that he could face charges for. So there you go. That's why Eddie's up on the stand. He took the money, and we're going to hear all about it. Garcia told jurors that Diddy promised him, quote, he would take care of me if the guard helped him get rid of and hold of the now infamous surveillance video of the Cassie beating. Garcia, who worked in a private security at the Intercontinental Hotel, said that Combs notoriously beat Ventura on March 5th, 2016. Garcia was hounded by the Bad Boy Records founder and his chief of staff, Christina Karam, to help them make the video go away. So Eddie Garcia got up on stand and he said, yeah, I was there. And then, in the days that followed, man, I kept getting calls from Bad Boy people and all of this. So they're hounding them, trying to make a deal. They want to make sure they can get a hold of that video, or that nobody else sees it, or it disappears, whatever the case may be. Kind of makes you wonder how many videotapes have disappeared. And I'm not talking about Diddy. I'm talking in general. How many times has, I'm trying to think of other big celebrities. How many times has George Clooney made a videotape disappear? You know what I mean? Is this like a thing that Hollywood celebrities have done in the past? I mean, occasionally CNN's going to get a hold of the Cassie tape, but, there are some that I'm sure are, in existence that we haven't seen. Boy, that'd be a TV show, huh? Compilation of like celeb videos that they think are vanished. All right, so Garcia, who worked for the private security firm, he told of how the Bad Boy people then pursued him to get the video and make it disappear. During one of the calls with Combs directly, so Diddy Combs is calling this security guard. And let's take a beat here and let's think about that. What do you do for a living? Where do you work? What are you an accountant? Are you working in an office? What about you? What are you, a high school gym coach? Yeah. Eddie, what are you? You're a security guard. Just regular old guy, just like you and me. They're out there. Fucking Diddy's calling him? I mean, think about that. I mean, think about right now if Jay-Z called you, right? Who are you? You're like, what? Huh? Holy shit, I'm talking to Jay-Z. I mean, that's quite a thing for us regular people. That's quite a day. We're telling people about it. Guess who called me? You know what? Here's what I would do, quite frankly, if Diddy called me. And he's old enough, he might fall for this trap. If Diddy called me, I would purposefully let it go to voicemail. I want that voicemail. I want Diddy leaving me a voicemail. I want the voicemail more than I want to talk to him. Because quite frankly, I don't know what I'm going to say to him. I might be starstruck, and I'm not starstruck, right? I've been interviewing people since 92. But it'd be like weird. If I wasn't a guy who had interviewed celebrities since 1992, I might be a little starstruck. If I was just, Pugs, pizza delivery guy, I might be like, hey, it's fucking Diddy. That's cool. So I'm sure this was interesting for Eddie Garcia, the security guard, to suddenly have this relationship with a megastar. Maybe not to you and me, because maybe you're like me. Maybe you're a middle-aged white man who missed the whole Diddy thing. But maybe Eddie Garcia's not. Maybe Eddie Garcia is that 38-year-old who knows very well what the beef between 50 and Diddy is. During one of the calls with Combs, Garcia testified that Diddy sounded very nervous. He was talking very fast. He said he had a little too much to drink. He then went on to say one thing has led to another, and now he's calling. So think about that. You're on the phone with Diddy, and Diddy's being like all cool and normal with you. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm just fucking around. I had a little bit too much to drink. That's not a business call. That's like a call with one of your boys. Eddie's got to be feeling pretty in the loop now. Eddie went from being a security guard at the Hotel Intercontinental to being a dude who's friends with Diddy. That's intoxicating, is my point. You can understand why, he might be like, this is kind of cool. Despite the fact that he just watched him ragdoll this little 110-pound girl down the hallway. If we can put that aside, talking to Diddy, it's pretty cool. Let's see here. On another call, he's called him multiple times. On another call, Diddy told Garcia that Garcia, quote, sounded like a good guy. You sound like a good guy. I'm Diddy. You sound like a good guy. Oh, flattery, you charmer, Diddy. On another call, Garcia was told by Combs that he sounded like a good guy, and that Diddy said, I want to help. Something like this could ruin me, Diddy said. He was concerned that the video could get out and that it could ruin his career. He said he would absolutely take care of him, meaning Garcia. Okay. All right. So Garcia's on the he's on the stand. He's talking about, okay, so I'm just working, man. I'm just punching a clock. I'm a security dude. I got to work on a Sunday, and then all of a sudden this happens. I'm like, oh man, what's going on? A bunch of drunk frat boys again partying up there on some rich frat boy making noise. They go up there and it turns out it's Diddy, and now he's into all of this. 24 hours later, he's getting calls from Bad Boy Records, and he's getting called from Diddy himself. As I say, pretty intoxicating. He would then go on to describe the bribe. This is all leading up to the bribe meeting. So Eddie Garcia is on the stand now, and he describes the bribe meeting that he had with Diddy to make the Cassie beating video go away. It says here, let me read straight from the report. Eddie Garcia said he and his boss, Bill Medrano, so he's got a boss. And look at this, Bill Medrano, who definitely wasn't working a shift at the Intercontinental. He owns the company. He's getting looped in. Rich dudes always get their pound, man. Rich dude. And yeah, I consider a dude who owns a security firm probably a rich dude. Richer than me. Not as rich as Diddy. There are levels. There are levels of rich dudes. When Garcia spoke with Combs, it says Eddie Garcia said that he and his boss, Bill Medrano, agreed to take payoffs to get the Bad Boy Records founder the only known copy of the surveillance video. What, are we going to have somebody from CNN? Is somebody from CNN going to come and testify as to how they got that video? Because Eddie Garcia took a bribe for the only known copy. Was there another copy? What is this copy that CNN has? I understand on some level. I'm a bit of a troglodyte when it comes to computers and stuff, but I do understand on some level that your digital, footprint is always retrievable. But I don't know. Diddy paid good money. Diddy paid good money for a bribe, and it doesn't seem like it took. When Garcia spoke with Combs about agreeing to take the bribe, the rapper was excited. Medrano, the boss of the security company, Medrano put a copy of the footage on a USB stick for Garcia and sent the employee, him, Garcia, to an address for the Combs meeting. So it was just Eddie Garcia going to meet with Diddy, and he's doing this like, super spy kind of a thing. How exciting. Eddie Garcia, minimum wage security guard. Look at this. This is now we're living. Look at me, Mom. Pretty exciting. Medrano put a copy of the footage on a USB stick for Garcia and sent the employee to an address for the Combs meeting, assuring him that he would cover the security guard at work. Don't worry, kid. Your shift is covered, Medrano said. Medrano's getting a chunk of this. Why is Medrano getting this money? Because I'm guessing in this process where they were hunting down when Bad Boys investigators or Diddy himself was trying to hunt down Eddie Garcia's cell phone number, they probably went through the security company and talked to the CEO first. So I'm guessing that the boss was probably the point of first contact here, Bill Medrano, if you will. So Garcia shows up at the meeting. He's got the thumb drive. Garcia said Combs, his chief of staff, Christina Karam, and a bodyguard were all present for a deal at a high-rise building on March the 7th, 2016. Upon entering the room, Eddie Garcia testified that he was greeted by a giddy Combs who said, "Eddie, my angel, come in." Pretty intoxicating for old Eddie Garcia. Diddy, my angel? What, are we going to hug it out? What is going on? What the fuck? Did you see the car I drove here in? My car didn't even start this morning. I had to get it jumped. And now I'm like hanging out with Diddy. Pretty cool. About to get a big chunk of money. As Giddy Combs greeted Eddie with Eddie, my angel, come in. Garcia says, I was nervous and my voice kept cracking. Combs asked his assistant to bring Garcia some tea. Did he ask for tea? Is Eddie Garcia a tea guy? Is he a tea? You're a tea guy, huh? Or is Diddy just one of these dudes who, like, this week he's into tea, so everybody around him gets tea? Because Diddy's into tea this week. I'm thinking that's probably more the case. I don't think Eddie Garcia is into, hey, I'm meeting with Diddy, let's have a cup of fucking tea, right? That doesn't really resonate with me, but okay. Combs asked his assistant to bring Garcia tea. Then they eventually got down to business with Combs asking if the video on the USB stick was the only copy and who else knew about the incident. Then Combs called Cassie on FaceTime and handed the phone to Garcia before saying, Cassie wants it to go away too. So imagine this now, right? Because I'm wondering, a decent human being, right? Unlike Eddie Garcia, security guard, and Bill Medrano, guy who owns a security agency. Boy, yeah, real secure, getting the shit kicked out of you by some dude in a hotel. The security agency that's supposed to not allow that shit to happen is helping to cover it up. That's the world we live in. That's who these two fucks are. Bill Medrano and Eddie Garcia. They see an opportunity to get some cash, and they're like, fuck that chick. I mean, they saw the video. They saw the video before the rest of us did. They knew what the reality of the situation was. So Eddie walks into the meeting. He's got the thumb drive, and Diddy, ever the manipulator, Diddy's like, yeah, by the way, Cassie wants to tell you this is okay. If you had any moral compunction about this whole thing, which Eddie didn't. He didn't give a shit. He didn't care. I can't. God. Eddie. Eddie didn't care. Eddie wanted money. Eddie's friends with Diddy. He's got money. He doesn't care if his new friend Diddy beats up women. Combs asked his assistant to bring him the tea, and then he asked if it was the only copy of the USB stick. Then Combs called Ventura on FaceTime and handed the phone to Garcia before saying she wanted it to go away too. Cassie said hi. She said that she had a movie coming out and that this wasn't a good time for this to be a thing, and that she really wanted the video to go away. So here you go. If Garcia had any sort of moral issues with it, he's being assuaged to those concerns by the girl herself saying, no, you're doing the right thing. You're not just hurting Diddy, which is a real problem for the prosecution. to have this now in court. Now, the jury is seeing Cassie in the moment. Remember, in the moment versus the now. The now, Cassie ragdolled. It was horrible. She was kidnapped. She was tortured. She couldn't leave. She wanted to leave. He controlled her career. Right? That's the now. But the jury is seeing then. The jury is now getting a glimpse into then. And the then of it is that Cassie was like, yeah, let's get rid of this videotape. I don't want people to know about this because it's transactional for me. I've got a movie and I wouldn't want my movie to suffer because I want to be a star. That's what all this is about with all of these people. These people are all transactional monsters who are all just trying to climb over each other to reach the next rung of celebrity. And Diddy was the kingmaker. Garcia eventually signed a non-disclosure agreement and another document that said, I have provided the only known copy of this video. According to the document, the jurors were then shown. Garcia said that he didn't read the document because, quote, I was nervous and wanted to get the hell out of there. Eddie! What do you mean you're nervous? You're hanging out with Diddy. Your car probably ain't going to start in the garage anyway. So what is going on with you, man? Hang out. Have some more tea. Talk to Diddy about tea. Diddy, I'm Eddie Garcia. Teach me about tea. If Diddy was on a tea kick that week, that would be the conversation he's been waiting to have for days. Eddie could have hung out with Diddy and bonded, but no, he says he wanted to get out of there. He was nervous. Excuse me. At that point, Combs took out a brown paper bag and put money through a money counter. Ooh, like a drug dealer. He tallied out 100,000 that was then sorted into stacks of 10. Quick math, that would be 10 stacks of 10. Garcia had earlier testified that his boss, Bill Medrano, agreed to take 50 for the video. Oh, he's taking 50. He's taking half. Middleman taking half. Garcia testified that Bill Medrano agreed to take 50 for the video transaction. The additional money was for me and what Combs thought was for Mr. Israel Flores, who we heard from earlier last week. Now, so in Diddy's mind, it was 100 grand, 50 for the boss, and then 50 to be split among the two security guards who witnessed the event, Israel Flores and Eddie Garcia, right? But Israel didn't take the bribe. Israel was like, no, fuck you, Eddie. Eddie came to him and he's like, yeah, man, here's some money. I think we're learning, there are good people and there are bad people. There are good people who make difficult decisions that aren't in their best immediate interest all the time. And Israel Flores is one of those people. I'm telling you, Israel Flores probably could have used 25K. He said, no, this is fucking wrong. This is all fucked up. And he did something that so many of us, I think, would fail to do. I can tell you right now, at this stage of my life, I'd take the 25. I'd be like, yeah, fuck you. Give me the 25. I need the 25 really bad. Israel didn't. Israel's a good dude. Garcia testified earlier that Bill Medrano agreed to take $50,000. The additional money was believed to have been split between the two security guards, Garcia and Mr. Flores. Israel Flores is another security guard who declined the bribe, and he testified last week, as we said. After security guard Eddie Garcia was handed $100,000 in cash by Diddy, Diddy told him not to make any big purchases with the money. Oh, very good, fellas. Very Jimmy Conaway. Don't make any big purchases. Don't do anything flashy. You're going to end up in the back of a frozen meat truck, right? Buying your wife a fur. What's the matter with you? So Diddy gives him the money. He tells him, don't buy anything flashy. All right. Garcia said Combs and his bodyguard then escorted him out of the meeting before Combs asked Garcia how he planned to spend the money. A nervous Garcia said he didn't know how he would spend it, prompting Combs to tell him to not make any large transactions. Garcia testified that he understood why Combs told him this, even though the Bad Boy Records founder didn't explain the statement. Eddie Garcia says, I got in my vehicle and drove off. I looked back to see if I was being followed, but I wasn't. Garcia gave 50 grand to his boss, Bill, who helped get Combs the video, and another 20,000 to another security guard, Henley Lias, and then kept 30,000 for himself. Remember, he was supposed to split. That's weird. So he had 50 grand and he's supposed to split it up among him and the other security guard. And the other security guard that's there doesn't want it. So he goes to a second guy. Keep the money, Eddie. Eddie, you're fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Eddie, you are a dumbass. I don't mean to say I've got a low opinion of security guards in general, but Eddie is not helping that. Good one. So the deal is done, and you think, right? You're thinking, hey, maybe Eddie's little time at the top is over now. Diddy wants nothing to do with him, right? The transactional nature of all of these monsters, as I've been pointing out, being what it is. Why would Diddy have any kind of relationship moving forward with security guard Eddie Garcia? But a couple of weeks later on Easter, Diddy, that charming son of a bitch, on Easter morning, Diddy picks up the phone and calls Eddie. On Easter holiday calls, Eddie Garcia is on Diddy's personal holiday call list. Get out of here. It's got to make a boy feel good about where he's heading. I mean, look, if I was in Diddy's wake, I would have to expect, as a hungry dog that I am, there would be some table scraps that would fall from time to time. I don't need to be a billionaire like Diddy, but I might be a 10,000-aire from time to time. That'd be good. I'm a normal person. So check this out. All right, so he calls him on Easter. Here's what he says. Diddy, blah, 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 blah. Diddy called Eddie Garcia on Easter morning, telling him, God put you in my life for a reason, Eddie. Oh. He said, Happy Easter, Eddie, you are my angel. God is good. God put you in my life for a reason, my brother. And he asked if anyone had inquired about the video. Sure. Oh, it can't just be that Diddy was thinking about his new friend who, I can't explain it, Eddie. Something, I know we've only met a couple of times, but there's something about it. We get along really good. I like spending time with you. You're funny. We have a good time. No, couldn't have been that. Diddy had an ulterior motive. He wanted to know if anybody had come around looking for the videotape. So what he did was he probably slow rolled his call to Eddie to coincide with Easter morning, where the call might take on some other kind of weight to Eddie himself. Oh, he's calling me on Easter? Nah, dude, he just wants to know. He said, Happy Easter, you are my angel. God is good, Eddie. God put you in my life for a reason. But enough of that. Has anyone inquired about the video? He then went on to ask. He didn't say enough of that. That was me trying to be humorous. I don't want to misrepresent. But come on. He's not calling him because he likes him. He's calling him because he wants to know about the videotape. And he manipulated the situation to coincide with Easter morning, where, again, getting a call from somebody on Easter morning to say, Happy Easter, you're my angel, is a special thing. I feel so special. I'm Eddie Garcia. Diddy cares about me. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Nobody came looking for the tape. Don't worry about it. Which is what Eddie told him. And then Diddy hung up and he never heard from him again. Okay, so there it was. It says here now, you might be wondering, so the bribe and all that, is there any other reason why Eddie Garcia might have been testifying today with an immunity deal from the federal government? Well, here's why. It wasn't so much about taking the bribe, because apparently that's not, I don't know, whatever. He's not worried about that. Doesn't matter. He's immune to it anyway, even if it was. The real reason why Eddie Garcia received immunity is because Eddie Garcia was investigated, was questioned by the FBI initially about the videotape and about the bribery and all that. And fucking Eddie lied to the FBI. which apparently is something that's done. Look, I'm Gen X, man. I was raised in the 1980s. I was raised to believe that you can't lie to the FBI. I mean, you might want to, but you can't. Can't lie to the FBI. Can't lie in front of Congress, right? Because I was raised a middle-class, normal, patriotic American, and those are the kinds of things that were programmed into me. Those are the things that I believe, and the things that I still believe. But as I've aged, I've come to realize that there's a whole bunch of people out there that don't think the same thing. So when the FBI came calling on Eddie Garcia, faux officer of the law. Remember, he's a security guard, so he probably kind of sees himself as a bit of a cop from time to time. So when the FBI came asking questions of Eddie Garcia, he fucking lied to him. He lied to him about the videotape and all that, and he got caught lying to him. So now he's being forced to testify rather than face, the slam dunk jail time of lying to the FBI. Eddie Garcia admitted on the stand that he initially lied to the federal investigators about his involvement in helping Sean Diddy Combs get rid of the video. Garcia testified that the feds contacted him back in June of 2024, a year ago, but that he had lied to them and deleted incriminating text messages from him and Diddy on his phone. Oh, that's cute. That's cute, Eddie. But if they want those text messages, I think we've learned in court case after court case that those text messages are never gone forever. Hey, you wannabe young criminals out there, you know what the best way to deal with incriminating text messages? Don't fuck them, send them to begin with. Huh? How about that? How about just don't record your crimes? How about don't you criminals today? Anyway, Eddie Garcia, that's cute. You tried to delete them. The FBI, of course, found the text. They're like, we've got texts right here. If you would be taking money from what? What? You lied to us. And then they got him. They got him in a pickle, and so he had to testify. He says, I didn't want to be a part of this. Garcia lawyered up for his next meeting with law enforcement and then admitted to taking the bribe. Of course, because the lawyer's going to give you the right, you think, I'm just not going to say anything. They can't prove it. Oh, yeah, they fucking can. I deleted the text. Oh, you sweet, innocent fool. Oh, you sweet, innocent fool. All right, so that was it for Garcia. Eddie Garcia, security guard. He came, he went, told some interesting things, right? But now we've got being compelled to testify. He was subpoenaed. This is not a witness that is believed to, have something out for Diddy, but he is somebody who has information that the prosecution probably feels is helpful to their case. So we heard from Derek Ferguson. Derek Ferguson is the former Bad Boy CEO, longtime employee of Diddy, worked for the company for 19 years, knows where all the bodies are buried. If anybody, it would be the CEO of Bad Boy Entertainment, which is the parent company of all of Diddy's other things. So Derek Ferguson took the stand today. Didn't testify very much or for very long. He said a couple of things in the very beginning, and then they broke for lunch, and then they came back, and there wasn't a whole lot of interesting stuff divulged. Divulged. Well, I just said devolved. Divulged. There wasn't a whole bunch of interesting, gossipy type stuff. A lot of nuts and bolts business testimony and stuff like that. I am certain that what's boring today will become interesting later when we hear other people testify, and then we can piece these different bits of witness testimony together into a clearer picture. So, maybe this was an important testimony. I don't know. It seemed a bit of a snooze to me, but we did get some interesting things from Derek Ferguson. Ferguson, it says here, who worked for the hip-hop mogul from 1998 to 2017. Oh, he was in it for it all. In it for it all. Including in the role of chief financial officer at Bet CFO. Why am I calling him CEO? If he was the CFO, well, three-headed monster, COO, CEO, CFO, whatever. All right, so he was the chief financial officer. So he really is the guy who knows where all the bodies are buried. The money guy. All right. So he got up there. What he did say, the most interesting thing, and we can chew on this a little bit. It's not quite as damning as maybe it will play on headlines, but, there is a Jeffrey Epstein connection here with Diddy. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, a big player in New York money circles. Diddy, a big player in New York money circles. Donald Trump, big player. That's why all of these people are sometimes mentioned in association with Jeffrey Epstein, because for a lot of years, Jeffrey Epstein was, a man walking the streets freely. And he had influence, and, people in New York City, they knew who he was. So just because there is now an Epstein connection doesn't mean that Diddy is, on the Epstein's thing. But whatever, let's get into what the connection is, because as it turns out, it's not nearly as fun as we had hoped. All right, so here's the Epstein connection, right? The hedge fund Highbridge Capital Management, which Jeffrey Epstein reportedly was a part of, came up during former Bad Boy Records executive Derek Ferguson's testimony Tuesday. The investment company, which was purchased by J.P. Morgan Chase back in 2004, owned part of Combs' media company, Revolt TV. This was testified to today by Derek Ferguson. All right, so there you have it. Run with those headlines, you smuck rakers. You know what I was? Smut peddlers and muckrakers. That's what just fucking happened there. You people saw me trying to say muckrakers and smut peddlers at the same time, and it came out smuck peddlers. Anyway, you people have fun. Epstein and Diddy connection. It's not a connection at all. It's a money connection. Money that Epstein touched was in a big pot with money that Diddy touched. So stop trying to draw something. Anyway. It says here, the investment company, which was purchased by J.P. Morgan Chase in 2024, was owned by Combs, or owned part of Combs Media Company. Ferguson testified that they, Highbridge Capital. Yeah, right. That's right. Highbridge Capital. I want to make sure I say that right. All right. He wanted to make sure that he testified that Highbridge Capital, he was quoted now as saying from the stand, they had a lot of actions of the emperor. They had a lot of actions of the enterprise. What the fuck does that mean? Did I actually wrote that? I wrote that? Or did I cut and paste that? Is that from a blog? I have no idea what that means. Anyway, he was trying to say that Highbridge Capital had a whole lot of influence over what Diddy's media company was doing back in the day. All right, and that was it. They broke for the day. Yeah, one more time. Good job. Good job, Judge Aram Subramanian, keeping this thing on a tight schedule. We are cooking now. Day 16 coming up tomorrow. And what do we have to look forward to on day 16? Let's see here. Tomorrow, new footage of Combs' notorious beating of Cassie is expected to be shown. New footage? New footage? Today we heard about how the only existing footage was supposedly purchased and buried for $100,000, and now tomorrow we're going to see new footage? That's interesting. We're also going to hear, it says there, new footage of Combs' notorious beating of Cassie is expected to be shown to jurors when witness Frank Piazza takes the stand. I don't know who Frank Piazza is. I don't know who Frank Piazza is, and how does Frank Piazza have new footage of the Combs Cassie beating? That's interesting. All right, well, we'll learn tomorrow, so that'll be coming up then. Also, we'll hear from Bana Bongolan. Bana, B-A-N-A, Bong, B-O-N-G-O-L-A-N. Bana Bongolan. Bana Bongolan. All right, that's a fun name. That'll be fun, right? Hello, Miss Bana Bongolan. I don't know what she is. She's a woman who claims that Diddy once dangled her over a balcony. Ooh, that's fun. That'll be fun. That's right out of Suge Knight, Vanilla Ice, right? That's right up there. All right, so tomorrow we're going to hear from Frank Piazza, who's going to show us new footage. We're also going to hear from Bana Bongolan. Oh, man, I got to practice that name. That's a fun name. We're going to hear from her, who's going to tell a story about a time that Diddy dangled her over a balcony. And then one other major witness may show up tomorrow. Maybe at the very end of tomorrow, might take the stand. We're expecting this person on Thursday. So, but maybe an appearance tomorrow. Hey, this judge is keeping this thing going, so who knows? Jane, she's testifying anonymously. This is another woman who is claiming to be a victim of Diddy's sexual attacks, I should say. It says here, a woman will be testifying anonymously under the name of Jane, could take the stand tomorrow to begin her testimony. Wow, listen to this. Okay, all right, so this is why Jane is important, and this is also why I think that maybe we won't hear from Jane tomorrow. One witness who will testify anonymously under the name Jane could take the stand as early as tomorrow afternoon to begin testimony that could last 6 days. That will be the record. That will absolutely be the record for this trial so far. So far, the record is held by Mia, who was on the stand for 4 days. That is followed by Cassie, who was on the stand for 2.5. 2.5 for Cassie, 4 days for Mia. And now we're talking about Jane, who they expect she could be on the stand for up to 6 days. That means she's got to have some stuff to tell. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for tonight. Like, follow, subscribe, Radio Misfits, Pugs Moran, Google me. Check out my daily talk show every day around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Standard Time. I sit here and I just give you the world. I go through the papers. I'm like, here's what's going on. Here's what I think. It's fun. We have a chat room. People hang out. A bunch of friendships have been forged. It's beautiful. Every day, around about 2 o'clock. We've been doing it since 2021. So if you think, I'm not going to start listening to this and then get, because it's just got 2021. I've been doing this crazy delusional talk show, streaming to my friends. 2021, join me. It's called The Rant with me, Pugs Moran, every day. RadioMisfits.com, or find me on YouTube and Facebook and all of that, Twitter, Pugs Moran. That's all you got to do. All you got to do is just, Google search that and everything's going to come up for you. All right. I think that's it, right? We're good. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow for day 16. Diddy or didn't he, exclusively here on RadioMisfits.com. I'm Pugs Moran. Have yourself a great night. Bye, everybody.